That's what it's about, and that's the thing. They didn't want to give up the brand, but obviously Ed and Al, we know them. That was their name. It was their pride, their family name. Their family were musicians. But people have no idea, which I always think about. And I was a kid at the time, so were you. So people have no idea what a gamble this was. I mean, not only was Sam not Dave, but no videos, more keyboards, a different sound. It was a tremendous gear shift from the band's biggest album, 1984. So, by the way, they couldn't use Mammoth for the same reasons that Wolf can't use Mammoth alone, because that was another band. However, to be honest with you, everybody still calls them Van Hagar anyway, right? I mean, it's like...
right. And, really, at the end of the day...
Right.
Van Halen, the band, was still a rock band.
Right.
I mean, we could talk about how different the Sam-led band was than the Dave-led band, but really, at the end of the day, they were a rock band. And there was a lot of cachet, as you like to say.
Oh, yeah, that's a good move.
With that name. There's a lot that goes with that. And if you have to start back at ground zero with a different band name, that's tough.
It's funny. I remember when I spoke to John Corabi on my podcast, The Rock Quarry, I did a whole thing with him. Like, for example, if they were called Motley Crue, they were guaranteed X amount of dollars for a performance. If they had another name, it went down by 75%. It was crazy. It's just like a whole...
And there you go.
And there you go. On to an interview Michael Anthony did with the Jeremy White podcast. Jeremy White, he's in Montreal. He's up in Canada. This guy did a very, very interesting interview with Michael Anthony, which is rare. Not that Mike's not interesting, but a lot of people don't ask these questions. Jeremy's definitely a big fan. So he asked Michael Anthony about Eddie Van Halen. He says that we were just as surprised as anyone. I know he was ill, but not to the extent. He was very private about it, so we were all shocked about Eddie's passing. But then he got into some details. He talked about Balance and the Fuck album. He held up the albums on the video, and he said, these are the albums where we could finally hear the bass. And Michael Anthony started clapping. And he said, Andy Johns, God bless him, he liked to hear and feel the bass. And he was my man. He was very fun to work with, and so was Bruce. And he said Andy would be right in the studio with us like a fifth member of the band, and he was always suggesting things for me to play. In fact, they even brought him in to work with Chickenfoot when the Chickenfoot first album came out. And he says, in terms of Bruce Fairburn, he says he was very relaxed, easy to work with. He didn't make us sound one way or another. He let us be who we were, and we had a lot of fun with him. And he said that was great. And then Jeremy said, what does a producer bring to the table? And, Michael laughed, and he says, a producer can be everything from a babysitter to keep everyone from fighting or trying to write the damn songs for you. He says, we always wanted a producer to bring out the Van Halen sound, the way we played live. We weren't dissatisfied with Ted, but we wanted to see what each guy would bring. If we were left to our own devices, each song would have been 10 minutes long. And he says, very often, the producer will help you piece the songs together, and no one really tried to steer us into what they wanted us to be. So they always wanted them to be Van Halen. That was key. Now, the big question, right? Jeremy came out and said, what the hell is going on with the sound on OU812? Why the hell is there no bass? And Michael paused, and he thought about it, and he goes, I really don't know. He says Ed's tonal range was so broad, and Alex's drums were so big that it's sort of difficult to tuck the bass in where it sounds great and works with everything. He said the big focus was on Ed in the early days, and it wasn't until Andy Johns said that he wanted a meaty, beefy bass sound. And he said, all right, my man. He was so excited when Andy Johns got involved. And he says there was a lot of songs we did in the studio, he says, where the demos had a lot more edge than ended up on the record. And he says maybe it was the producer's influence, I don't know. And he was talking about OU812. in regarding the remastering of the Hagar years, he says, what's going on? Why haven't they been remastered? He says, Warner has brought up the question. There's even been talk of a box set, and it's in the early works. He says, I hope that will happen. He goes, I'll even revamp the bass on OU812. He offered to go in and play. He says, I'm sure at some point we will get together with Alex and Ed's son Wolfgang to do something like that. I think it would be a great thing to do. And he asked him if he misses playing the old songs from the old days. Now, this is an interesting answer. He says, I do. Sometimes when I practice, I'll put on my iPod and I'll jam to them at home. And he says, we have been talking about doing some older stuff with The Circle, where he'll come out and sing some old Van Halen songs during The Circle show. He says, I know Sammy likes to lean toward the stuff that he was involved with, but he says, I want to do it for the fans. There's a lot of great music from all the eras of the band. He said, Sam is open to doing that, and it would be a shame if we don't go out there and play it. I really don't want to go out there and just play the Sammy Hagar era stuff. It's cool to dig out Unchained or Panama or Somebody Get Me a Doctor. He says, I'm all for it, which was shocking. I can't believe that he said that, but that is exciting if that's going to happen.
You know, that's not the first time.
Really?
Well, let me put it to you this way. It's not the first time that Mike would have sang the old stuff. Do you remember when Mike was doing something called, I think it was like the Michael Anthony Experience? Somebody's going to have to correct me on this, but I think it was Vic Johnson was on guitar, and the drummer was, whoever Sam's drummer was.
David Lauser?
David Lauser, I think. I want to say they opened up for Sam when they were playing with Sam, or they did some kind of like side small shows somewhere else. I forget.
But was this a Cabo thing?
No. He did this more than one time. I mean, he might have done it at Cabo, but this was more than just, he would do like 8 old school Van Halen songs.
Holy shit.
And he would sing lead, he'd do the bass, and the other 2 guys would play, obviously. I forget now. I want to say like he opened up for Sam when he was playing with Sam solo. I must have the bootleg somewhere. But yeah, that was a thing. My point is, he's done it before. So he can totally do it again.
Can you put a year on this?
Oh, God, no, because Ron will just correct me.
I mean, when you're saying...
I'd have to look it up. You know what? I may have to go to the Gavolt.
Okay, let's be honest, though. It's got to be after 2004, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Right. I want to say, man.
Have you ever seen a boot of it?
Yes. I want to look at my bootleg collection and see if I have. I swear I do.
I tell you, though, that name you're giving me does not ring a bell. The Michael Anthony Express.
Oh, you're gonna make me go into the Gavolt.
Yes, well, it's our anniversary. God damn it! Take your panties off.
All right.
Here he is. He's in the Gavolt.
Yeah, I'm looking in the Gavolt, but I don't see anything.
You don't see anything.
I'll have to look it up.
I think you're looking in your underpants.
It was definitely a thing sometime in the mid-2000s.
Okay, I tell you, for my anniversary, I want a copy of that. That sounds phenomenal. So there's my anniversary present. So also he said, this was unbelievable. Jeremy, I give you all the credit in the world, bud. So he comes out and he goes, are you aware that David Lee Roth is using your original backing vocals live? And you had to see Mike's face. He was like horrified. He was like, no, I didn't. And he goes, are his guys going up to the mic and pretending to sing and the music is coming out of nowhere? And he goes, I need to hit up Dave for a little compensation. Which I thought was hysterical.
Well, we saw that. We saw that happen.
We saw it. And we almost saw a reunion with him there had he come, but he wasn't able to come. But he was thinking about coming to that Las Vegas residency that we were at.
Hey, I found it.
Oh, my God. What's it called?
I've got your anniversary present for you.
My God, I'm hitting the table here.
Okay, all right, so here's the deal. It was called the Michael Anthony Express. It was from 2007. It was actually a Halloween 2007 at the Moores Performing Arts Center, and he performed the following songs: Runnin' With the Devil, Light Up the Sky, DOA, Hear About It Later, Little Dreamer, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Bottoms Up, and Ain't Talking About Love.
Oh, my God. How have you been keeping this from me?
I got my stuff.
Oh, my God. You're unbelievable.
It was at the Moores Performing Arts Center.
Where is that?
South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
My notes here say also see Sammy Hagar for his set. So, yes, he must have opened up for Sam at this show.
Holy cow. That is unbelievable. Well, you heard it right here, folks. That is really an anniversary special right there. When they asked him about reuniting with Dave, he says that at the residency at Las Vegas, he was going to show up and go on stage and jam with him because he's got no beef with Dave or any of the guys in the band. He says if it was the right situation, he would let it happen. Now, they asked him if he read Noel Monk's book. Good question, this Jeremy. And he says that Noel Monk was kind to me. And he says he looked up Noel and got in touch with him. And they asked him if he read Van Halen Rising. And he said he was the only guy from the band who was interviewed for it. And he thought it was well written. And he did a good job. So good for you, Greg. You got some accolades there from Michael Anthony. And then they asked him, was Noel Monk's book real? He said he's glamorizing and sensationalizing a lot of it. He says, we were a well-oiled machine, and I think he had a lot of fun going after the bootleg T-shirt guys. And he said, we used to tell him, Noel, you go out there and go after the bootleg T-shirt guys, and we'll play music inside. I thought it was so funny.
Jeremy asked a lot of great fanboy questions.
It was all
really
fanboy. He went full fanboy. Then he goes, who was the guy who used to stand on the side of the stage and scream, ladies and gentlemen, the mighty Van Halen? And he says that was Rudy Laren, who was Ed's guitar tech. And they had a guy do that on the Circle album as well. But he says, I actually prefer to just come out on stage and just start performing. Jeremy also asked him, are you going to reboot that Whitesnake tour? And he said, well, I can't say a lot, but we're in touch with a few bands, and we're going to do some one-off shows, and we're putting together that's coming out real nice. So that also leads into some information that came out that the Circle, with Sammy Hagar, of course, is going to do a tour of Florida. As predicted on our last VH News, the Red Rocker is headed down south, Dave, to the Sunshine State of Florida for a short tour. On the 23rd of May, he's going to play the Key West Amphitheater. On the 25th and 26th of May, he's playing the Dr. Phillips Center in Orlando. And on June 1st, he's playing the St. Augustine Amphitheater in St. Augustine, Florida. Obviously, Florida's a state that's open and running, and it looks like the Circle is ready to start revving up. What did you think of this interview with Jeremy, and what do you think of Sammy and the Circle going back out on tour?
Like I said, great questions by Jeremy. Fantastic interview. And Florida, well, they're open for business, and people got to work. So just everyone be safe and be careful. And, if it was me, would I go? If I was fully vaccinated, I would probably go. I mean, if it's an outside venue, I would go.
Yeah,
these
are outside
but
venues.
Only then. But I'm a nervous Nelly about these things anyway.
Right.
So.
Are you vaccinated yet?
I'm halfway there. I get my second shot next week.
Okay. All right. Good.
How about you?
I am fully vaccinated. Unfortunately, nothing's grown. So now, April 1st, there was a little April Fool's joke going around on the internet. I don't know if you saw it, but someone posted a tour poster for the Sammy and the Circle with all these dates, special guest Mammoth WVH. So some wise guy created a U.S. tour poster with Sammy and the Circle, special guest Mammoth WVH, for dates from August 28th all the way through November 10th. And this is fake. However, even though it was not real, a lot of people have been rumoring that it could be possible that Mammoth is going to do some dates with the Circle. I think that would be a great idea. What do you think?
I think that would be a great marketing plan for sure.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen? I don't think Wolf would jump at that too fast. I think Sam would love it, but I don't think Wolf's going to go for it.
Of course Sam would love it. He would soak up every minute of it. Now, our friend Sammy Hagar, back still on the Red Rocker, he ended up in Forbes magazine, Dave, of all places. Well, he was there with Rick Springfield, because the two of them are doing a business together for the Beach Bar Rum that they are partners on. In fact, Springfield even wrote a theme song called Party at the Beach Bar, which Hagar sings on, and he says it would be a dream of theirs to do a tour together. And they're also working on setting up residencies at Las Vegas and Catalina Island, where they held Sammy's birthday bash this past October on the pay-per-view thing there that he did, and they were so taken with the island that they're going to go back. But they're talking about their rums here. They got the Beach Bar rum. It comes in 3 flavors: the white rum, the Spirit of Paradise, the